Jurors said they were worried some witnesses might have.
Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. Welcome to a good conversation. We're just coming off of our praying for the boldness in belief, boldness in faith, boldness in trust. And what that produces is the ability to move forward with confidence and
Mm-hmm.
competence. So, there are a lot of things that mitigate against what we know to be righteousness. There are so many things that are done to titillate the flesh, to distract, to tempt. There's so many things that are presented for us to elevate ourselves, to operate in pride. There's so many things. It's promoted through the propaganda, the intentional propaganda. Propaganda is usually divide and conquer or reduce the strength of intentionally, so that those with power want to maintain it and keep it. So it's often a misinformation used, and as a guy gave me what misinformation was, he said that it is the projector of deception in the show of
Mm-hmm.
lies, so that we are entertaining fallacy, and that misinterpretation becomes an accepted and defended philosophy. So, very often we have to filter out the nonsense so that we can be nourished by the truth. It's strengthened by the truth so that we become bold in the truth. Some people are bold in a lie. They tell a bold faced lie. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right. The face is bold. Remember, it's just the face, bold face lie, right? But when your truth, truth comes from the heart, and when you're true, you see people say true to self. When you're true in yourself, inside of you, that Christ is in you. He is the truth, right? When you're true in self, when inside of you is true, uh, uh, um, you're bold. You're bold. Is boldness is not based on a temporary condition. You're not just behind your big brother saying, you're poking fun at the bully. You have a boldness that no matter where I
Mm-hmm.
stand, I have victory. Boldness is a victory mindset. Boldness is
Yes.
true boldness. There was a definition of a great one. I think I posted it on the other one. I'll put it up real quick.
I was
Boldness,
just going to say, yep, that one. Yep.
yeah, boldness doesn't mean rude, obnoxious, loud, or disrespectful. Being bold is being firm, sure, confident, fearless, daring, strong, resilient,
Mm-hmm.
and not easily intimidated. It means you're willing to go where you've never been. That means that takes boldness. In Star Trek, it said boldly going where no man has gone
Right,
before.
right, right.
Willing to try what you've never tried. That's learning on a whole nother level. It's one thing for you to take it in your mind. It's another thing to go out and do it. Right?
That's
And
right.
willing to
There you
trust.
go.
Yeah, willing to trust what you've never trusted. Boldness is quiet, not noisy. Very often, the noisiness is a distraction to hide your weakness. Right? Yeah, it's like to throw people off. It's like a magic trick. Right?
That that part is not necessarily true.
What?
Boldness, I mean, about the quietness. People are quiet in nature, and they
Mm-hmm.
are bold in a different way, but they're quiet
Mm-hmm.
not because of insecurity. They're just quiet because God made them that way.
Yeah,
So that's why I
Well,
said I disagree with that part
let,
right
let's let's throw it another way.
yeah.
How about this? Maybe they're quiet because they understand that they don't need to project on the outside who they are, because
there.
they got the confidence in what they are and who they are, that it itself speaks. It's like saying, for instance, someone that a man that has a certain confidence in him. you'll see it in his walk. You'll see it in his trajectory of how his body movement moves. And then it's displayed in the way that he may wear his the type of clothing he wears, the way he speaks when he speaks, not just the sound of his voice, but the conviction of his body language will speak to others. And people in the room who may be of higher regard, or people in the room who may be of the strength in the boat, they will recognize that strengthen him, and they humble themselves to it because they recognize it comes from a place they have yet to go to, and
Well,
they give homage to him in their way, the world's way. But he knows the accolades don't come from the world for him, they come from the Most High, because he knows that's the source of where this energy that projects from him comes from. And a lot of times people don't understand it. They'll say, them quiet ones, you got to watch them, man. They the ones. But
Yep.
it's not so much they're the ones. Why are they the ones? What is it that they know that others who have to project it outly in appearance don't know?
well, the reason why I spoke up like I did,
Mm-hmm.
I said I disagree with that because I personally knew is of all the people I know. I mean, I grew up with this gentleman. His father was a pastor of the church, but he was just naturally that was his way of being. He
Mm-hmm.
was physically a very strong person, but
Mm-hmm.
he was odd in that sense. That was him. It wasn't insecure. It just, I mean, it's hard to explain. That was his way of being. I mean, if when someone has to recommend you for a character reference and say, would you, I need you to be a character reference for me. And if I had to really write about him, he would stick out entirely different because he didn't fit the norm. See, sometimes people are labeled because they don't fit in the mainstream, but that's
Mm-hmm.
their way of being.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
but I
Yeah.
don't think you're disagreeing though. I don't think you're disagreeing.
No, you're
I actually
speaking.
don't think
No,
you're
You're
no,
speaking
disagreeing.
in line with it.
no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. What I'm saying is when I was saying bonus is being quiet, it is, but
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
but it's not. In his case, it wasn't because of insecure. He
No,
was
no, 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 no,
No,
no,
no, no
no, no.
insecurity. No,
No,
no. You truly.
to understand what it's saying
You
is
said you said that it was a cover for sometime noisy is a cover for
this.
That's what noisiness in some sense, as he said here. Boldness doesn't mean rude, obnoxious,
yeah,
loud,
okay,
disrespectful.
Yeah,
Boom,
okay.
you can stop right there.
you could
Most
agree.
people that we see that call themselves bold, they operate right in that line right there.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They
yes.
fit one of those words or several of them all together, creating one being.
Mhm.
But to say to someone like that, being bold is being firm, sure, confident, fearless, and daring, strong and resilient, and not easily intimidated. Now you sit down, you do a counseling session with them. Guess what's going to come out that person? It's not going to be confidence. It's not going to be fearlessness. It's not going to be daringness. It's sure enough not going to be strong, and it ain't going to be resilience.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
And you definitely gonna bring to the surface that how easy they are intimidated because they got to be bold so everybody sees and hears them to cover up what it is that they are hurting from. So
yeah.
nobody won't ever discover what's really going on inside of them.
It's that's why it's called bold face.
Yes,
It's a bold face lie. A bold face lie
exactly.
is that it's a front.
Right.
It's a front. It's
Yep,
a
they're trying to
front.
cover up something that they feel will make them that makes them vulnerable, and
Yeah.
that will allow others to do things to them. That's why the saying "hurt people hurt people."
Yep.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Yep.
they don't know how to do anything else because that's all they know is hurt.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
But that's a form of living out your fears.
Exactly. Yeah.
You,
Think of now.
you,
You
you,
want to see real
you're self.
boldness in. I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
You're defensive. You see, if you're
Always,
always in a
always
defensive posture, you will come out offensive. In other words, you'll be quick to offend somebody
quick
to protect yourself,
yourself.
which is a form of weakness. It
Yes.
is not a form of
Yes.
strength.
No, it's
It is
not.
it is to get somebody off their game. I always use the movie the Godfather and Sonny as an example.
Prime
Sonny was
example.
quick to fight. He was quick to
Fast.
fight at the drop of a
Simple
hat
like
for
that.
any reason. So how do you set him up is make him upset
You
so that
trigger.
his feelings take over and his desire to fight becomes a trap for him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not boldness.
But the opposite of that is to be cunning. You see,
Yes.
you see what I mean?
Now,
As
now
Yes.
that
as bold as I can be,
Yes.
can also be another way to draw you in.
Yes.
You see what I mean?
Yes.
yeah,
So, and there are people that you'll never be able to figure out. And well, I mean, when you think about it, why should you?
Great.
You know
Right.
what? See, that's the part that not that it bothers me, but I mean, you got people that feel as though they have a need to know, and they
Yes.
don't.
they
Right.
don't. And the
Right.
question lies is why do they have a need to know? It
Yeah,
goes back again to make them feel comfortable that they won't ever have to worry that you will, in their eyes, outshine them.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
See, they'll
See,
always, I have someone in the family. I'm not calling no names,
hmm
but I got somebody in the family that all the time growing up, that person always had to make their draw all attention to them,
Hmm.
even though they didn't need to, because
Yes.
the person that they were on the inside was so astonishing and so amazing that they couldn't even recognize it because they were operating from a position of fear. So
Hmm.
it covered up, it camouflaged who they really were, and
Hmm.
they actually were trying to operate in something that was already a part of them. They didn't know how to do it correctly.
Hmm.
And every time they would see another family member seem to be elevated or
Hmm.
allowed to participate in something
Hmm.
and they
Yep.
weren't allowed, they got upset
Hmm.
and tried to make it their business to force their way in,
Yes.
creating an atmosphere that was almost like an earthquake, man. You know, it
Hmm.
starts with a small little fault, and then it gets bigger,
Hmm.
louder, more dangerous,
Hmm.
affecting more than originally what it should have affected. It should have
Yes.
stayed a small fault, but now it's tearing up everything in its path. That's
Hmm.
what that
well,
does.
when you say family, it's one nucleus, of course. And when I'm talking about a family, when I'm talking about when you have more than one sibling,
Hmm.
so it starts this way, but each sibling has their own personality.
Hmm.
You see what I mean? And it's just human nature, man. Because that's the way I look at it. It's human nature. That's that thing of I have to be number one. I don't feel
Hmm.
comfortable being second. I have
That,
to be one.
yes.
I
Again,
have,
where does that come from?
yeah,
Again, fear, right?
It comes from the desire to be viewed as competent,
Yes.
right?
oh,
You notice competent.
yeah,
If you notice, competent and competition begin the same way,
yeah,
Yep. Yes, they
right?
do.
So it's a battle of competence, right? And if you're not deemed as the most competent, it affects your confidence,
right,
That's right.
right. But
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
but the point that I'm trying to
Yeah.
belabor is
Yeah.
this: you come to a point in life, at least
Mhm.
I am. I don't have to worry about that. I let small people do that type of stuff. I don't have to because I know who I am.
Mhm.
Remember, I told you a long time ago. I found out who I was. As long as I work within those parameters, I'm good.
But what was the key? The key was you just said it.
No,
I found out who I was.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
yes.
See,
yeah,
those people don't know who they are, and they're
yeah.
studying on the road of seeking to find who they are. Unfortunately, they're like a drunk driver on the road. They're hitting everything on the left and the right on their way to getting hopefully to their destiny, and hoping they don't have a collision that doesn't allow them to go any further. Those words he just put up are the alchemy of what's being said. Be bold, be brave enough to be your true self. So if
Well,
your level of belief imparts your level of action,
Mm-hmm.
you can
well,
only go as far as you believe until
Mm-hmm.
your belief system is changed. And
now,
and take example. Let's use the military. Now you have what we call operators in the military. Okay, special elite units. What do those guys have to go through before they feel they are allowed to be qualified to wear the trident or to wear the beret or to wear the patch? And I'm not calling out what service I'm just using different varieties. Some of us know what they stand for, but they have. What are they doing to you? What makes them stand out among all that they are considered the best of the best? The
Mm-hmm.
one thing they all have in common is they make you go to the very internal depths of who
Mm-hmm.
you are, and not just physically, but more mentally and emotionally, to pull out the real who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And then they present it to you. This is who you are.
Yes.
You didn't know that's what was inside you, did you?
oh, oh,
Now
okay.
that you know, and we have
Mm-hmm.
shown it to you, and now we have put it back in your hands, it's
Mm-hmm.
up to you to do what you need to do with it to perfect it so that you can be the part that you need to be so that you will fit in with all of us that have also done the same. That's
Mm-hmm.
why they are some of the quietest individuals you ever know. They are
Mm-hmm.
not bold in telling you who they are. They don't wear it on their chest like a badge of courage. They're not braggadocious. They are the most laid back and humblest people. I think the same went many years ago. The greatest warrior is the quietest warrior.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now,
Yes. Yes.
now,
Yes.
what I was getting at is this. My skin is the opposite of that. Is that because I listen to some of these people? This is Black History Month.
Mm-hmm.
Their humble beginning as a kid. You see, as a kid, they
Mm-hmm.
had a knack for this, and over time it evolved them to become a doctor or a scientist. They always had it's something inert, inward.
Yes.
God has blessed them with. I like numbers. Next thing I know, I was a mathematician. I had
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed biology. I became a doctor.
Yes.
You see,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
so those are the kind of things that I'm talking about. That it was nurtured. The
Mm-hmm.
person had the God blessed them with realizing something in them,
Mm-hmm.
and God gave them the increase.
Yes.
See,
Well,
that's different than what you were saying. That's
well, so the understanding and the growth and the development comes through the study and the practice. What does the word tell us? In Timothy, it tells us to study to show
Mm-hmm.
thyself approved.
Yeah,
See, in the process of learning, you're not just learning the subject, you're also learning your capability. When
exactly.
I always
exactly.
say faith is resistance training. When you do push-ups, the world doesn't move.
That's
When
right.
you do push-ups, the world you are moving
That's right.
against the force of the earth, the
Mm-hmm.
gravitational
Mm-hmm.
pull.
Right,
It's the
right.
same thing with prayer and study and everything else. Prayer does not change God. Prayer does not pray change Yah. It does not.
Nope.
Yeah.
Neither
Nope.
does study. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever.
Yeah.
However, we're being transformed by
Come
the
on.
renewing of our mind.
Our
So
minds.
as
Yeah.
we
Right.
study to show ourselves approved, we become workmen. So now that we go out and do the work, we do not need to be ashamed
That's right.
because we're confident and we're competent now, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not in competition with the world. That's a whole nother thing.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
When you
Yeah.
grow in true
Well,
confidence, what the reason that you have sibling rivalry is usually you're trying to find a one-upsmanship so that you have a more blessed feeling amongst those who are your guardians, your parents or your
Mm-hmm.
grandparents or whoever raised you, right? You're in competition to show that you're better behaved, better at doing, better at, so that you are looking at the other that at least I'm doing better than this person. That was the mistake that when Yeshua gave the parable to his disciples and said, "You have this Pharisee or Sadducee who's saying,
Yes.
I give to the poor, I do this and I do that," but the publican wouldn't even look up and said, "Bless me, I'm a sinner." Right? And he said, "Who was more justified? The one who didn't look up and had a
That's
realization
right.
of who they
That's right.
really were."
Yeah.
You see, you cannot appreciate grace until you realize the depths of
Mhm.
depravity of the sin that you committed. If you constantly find joy in your sin, it's harder for you to break away from it,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's like a
You're not,
drug. Same
yeah,
thing.
exactly,
It's like a drug. Get
exactly.
addicted
So,
to it. It's
yeah,
hard to pull away from that drug.
and you
It takes
start
something else to
justifying it,
stir. Yeah. You
and
find the
you
key
start
word, you
justifying it,
justify. But you got to
right?
remember what you got to think about it. Even though I used that military, it was the same concept that Jeremy just spoke of.
Right.
You go inside yourself to find your true self. Remember we said the other day, know thyself to be thyself.
Hmm.
You cannot know yourself and you cannot be yourself until you find out who you are. If you don't know where to search to find yourself, how can you be yourself? And the only true place to find yourself, to know who you are, to be yourself, is to go back to the one who created you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's where you find your true self because you're not an accident. Remember, you're
Mm-hmm.
not a mistake. You're not a mishap. You're not an overnight sensation.
Mm-hmm.
You were created on purpose.
Yes.
And what was the purpose of the one that created you?
Mm-hmm.
That is the key to your search to finding self so that
Yes.
you can operate in the ability to, with confidence and courage, to be
Yes.
all you need. What does it say? To be bold, to be brave enough to be your true self. The
Yes.
self is what pulls out of you what is inside of you that gives
Mm-hmm.
you the ability to understand what you
Mm-hmm.
can do, what you're capable of, where you can go, and how
Mm-hmm.
to get there, and what you're going to need to get there. And
Yes.
you begin to put the things of the world aside because you know that's not what's going to get me there.
Right.
Now I may be able to take some of the things in the world that are correct and use it to help me to do what I need to do, but the foundation of everything that I'm doing comes from within the spirituality of
Amen.
who I am. Now
Mm-hmm.
I can fulfill my heart's desire,
Mm-hmm.
because now you begin to see clearly you're willing, you're able to fulfill your life's purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have everything you need. What you've
Yeah.
been designed to do and to be what you were created to be, you came in with it.
Mm-hmm.
He gave you everything.
Yes.
Everything. So now
Yes.
your purpose is to find out what it is, find
Mm-hmm.
out how it works, find
Mm-hmm.
out how to apply it, and then
Mm-hmm.
step into it and start doing it. And in order for that to happen, you've got to make sure you're reconnected to Him. That's why salvation is so important. It's
Mm-hmm.
not so much as important so that we can get to heaven. I mean, yeah, we're going to get there, but if that's your sole purpose for salvation, then you might as well go sit your butt in the chair somewhere and cross your legs and cross your arms and wait for you to stop breathing. If that's all that you want it for. Because if it's not for you to have clarity of fulfilling something while you're here, so that you do not take your potential to the cemetery. Because you know what we call the cemetery? That is the land of so much richness. Because how many poets and how many singers and how many artists and how many inventors went to the grave with never fulfilling their purpose? You want to go out of here empty, pouring out everything that was put in you in the arena that he sends you and assigns you to, so that when you do go before him on that day, as I said before, he can say, "Well done, my
Yeah.
faithful servant."
And when you really truly know who you are and your purpose, your act changes, your
Yes, they do.
role changes, right?
Yes,
Your character changes.
yes,
You
yes,
see, a telltale sign of a lack of understanding who you are positionally and in relationship to the truth is that you either act up or you act out. But when you come into right relationship, you start to act right.
Mm-hmm. There you
Right?
go.
You do and you enjoy doing right.
Yes,
You
yes.
find fulfillment in
Yes, you
doing
do.
right. You
Yes,
see,
you do.
spiritual immaturity is boredom with righteousness,
Mm.
right? Mental immaturity is boredom with righteousness and justice and peace.
Yep.
Physical is when you're aligned with intaking everything that's detrimental, and you enjoy and you find joy in unhealthiness.
Mm.
You find joy in it.
Yeah.
So uh, uh, um, to be confident involves your intake. What are you putting inside of you
Yes, yes,
spiritually?
yes.
What are you putting in? What is your diet spiritually?
Mm.
What is your diet mentally? What is your diet physically? And then your exercise. What is your exercise spiritually? What is your exercise mentally? And what is your exercise physically?
Yes.
See, so you come into wholeness, you come into peace. You come into peace
Well,
when all three you're exercising and you're intaking the right things.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
So when this boldness, okay,
Yeah.
that's number one, knowledge of him, and then
Yes.
and then you have to. It's more than just believing it and trusting him. So that's where you have to have spend time with him.
Yes.
See, 'cause
Relationship.
what I do is when you send those things out, uh,
Yes.
but I just look to get. It's at night all the time, and I look,
Yes.
it gives me a framework.
Yes.
You see what I mean? And I
Yes.
just ask the Holy Spirit to put a prayer in my heart for the next day.
Mhm.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
So what I'm saying is this: that I mean, the boldness is. I agree with everything what you were saying, but when Ron was talking earlier, when I wanted to show you about the kid
Mm.
that shot that teacher in Newport News,
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
year kid.
Mhm.
And see, I used to be in the Newport News Fire Department. That's the area of Virginia I'm from. Actually, I'm from
Oh
Hampton.
wow. I,
Yeah,
I I know
I'm
that area. I know Newport News. I know.
yeah,
I was stationed in Norfolk, and I used to hang out
yeah,
at Hampton sometimes. So I
yeah.
know.
I'm from Hampton. I'm
Yeah,
from
yeah, yeah.
yeah. I was the fifth black in the Newport News Fire Department many years ago. So
Oh,
the first thing I asked my cousin was that, see, because Rich Neck used to be many years ago was
mhm.
white.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So of course things change.
Right.
Hmm.
And I just found that so horrific that he did that. And then a few weeks ago, I read where he said she could have set fire to her. Now, the reason why I brought this up, and I was listening to Ron,
Hmm.
and I couldn't get it, but the reason why I'm bringing this up, see,
Hmm.
but that's demonic.
Yes.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. That
that's
is demonic.
demonic.
That's
See,
the pure
Think about
evil.
the age of the
Pure evil.
child. Think
yeah,
about the age of the child,
hold
and
on,
think about where does that come from for a
but
child so young, so early, to
but
even
that's
allow that thought to formulate in him.
that's what I'm getting at. See, everybody starts out with a blank slate, but at 6 years old, having
That's
that kind of thought, the only explanation, and because see, it's a thin line for me because I can't place judgment, but I'm just trying to say that is a very the thought. It couldn't be nothing else.
yeah. It's demonic. Well. That's
Now,
what's being fed. That's what you see.
yeah.
But but listen to me now.
Yeah.
He had see he thought this thing out. He had confidence. See,
Now,
confidence goes all kinds of goes the other way too.
of
And
course it does.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, but think about it now. This is taking concern the
Mhm.
mental capacity of a child at that age.
Mhm.
Okay,
Hmm.
the environment of a child that age,
Yes.
Mhm.
what a child that age associates with,
Mhm.
and the thoughts that child has are thoughts that you would expect to come out the mind of somebody twice their age, 3 times their age, 4 times their age. At that time, children still playing, thinking about toys, cartoons, things that make them laugh and have fun. That part of their life, one word covers it: fun. Nothing else. They just want to have fun. A child that age will play from 6 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock at night and never get weary of having fun. So, what was so horrific that it completely changed the mindset and the brain capacity of this child to operate in such a destructive manner? Is
Yeah.
who he associates with and who he's around. It is
Environment.
not natural for a child to
Exposure.
think that way. He's
Yeah.
exposed to something that gave him the ability and confidence to believe he could actually accomplish that. So
Yeah.
now, see, the news, we know the news is propaganda. So we know we still in the South. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it 100. You know doggone well if that's a young child of color, as they say. When the news got it, the news flipped it. You only heard as far as what you just said. Oh, he had the confidence. He decided he was going to do this. What were they doing? They're projecting to you this evil on this child that at that age, black boys are already dangerous. That's the whole concept that the news was giving you to opinionate that on you, projected, because everything they put out to feed that goes right into it to keep this mindset that black males are dangerous. Nobody went as far as to say, "Oh my God, this is a child. How could he think like this?" and went beyond that to try to find out. Now they probably did, but it did not. It was not newsworthy to put that part out there. They needed sensationalism and the other things that they needed to feed the fears of people. No, now this child has been villainized. Now is he right? No way, shape, form, or manner. He needs to have to pay for his actions. So hopefully he will grow up knowing I made a mistake. And he needs mental and he needs emotional healing. And for him to have to deal with that so early in life, come on, man, that's a crime in itself.
Yeah.
As I go back and I look at the adults around him, that's who I'm coming to talk to. I ain't
Yeah.
coming to talk to him. I'm coming to talk to them. I want to find out what's your issue. I'll give you another one, and I know we got to go. They showed about, it's been probably about 4 weeks ago, showed a child. This one wasn't 5 or 6, brothers. He was still in his pull up, man. He was walking around outside the house with a semi-automatic pistol in his hand. Now, of course, they went to the father when they found him when it was reported, but they showed this child on the videos that were outside the apartment houses that looked out onto the patio when you can see outside your door, and it showed the child walking around. They had the video. He's walking around with this pistol in his hand, walking up to different doors, and he's doing this. Now, remember, he's in a pull-up. Does he have any conception that what he has in his hand can create is a difference between life and death? To the most degree, he doesn't. He thinks it's a toy. So he's reacting like a child with any toy. At one point, he takes it and he points it at himself. When he did that, man, my heart sunk to the floor so fast, and I just said, "Oh, Father, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God," and I knew that he had not pulled the trigger because they would not have shown that part. They would have let you know that this child had taken his own life.
Yeah.
But the fact that he had it and parent was nowhere around, which meant to me, it gave off the image that this is not the first time this child has had this weapon in his hand.
And
Whether he found it or whether the father playing with it and had him in his lap and put his hands around it to let him hold it, so he felt confident when he saw it to go back and pick it up again.
this is what I observed when these different topics that we talk about. If it's absence of God's love, and it's that is it's not going to be prosperous.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
You're right. You're
There
right.
is no life. To be honest,
No.
there is no life.
Yeah,
No.
It is literally zombie living.
Yes.
right,
It is zombie living.
right.
There's no ghost in the shell.
Nope.
The Holy Ghost is not in there,
That's what
right?
you call an empty suit.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. A
Empty.
And
robot.
whoever is pouring into that suit is who
Hmm.
will have direction for that suit.
Yep.
Mhm,
So that's why when we look at children, the evidence is us who do this work,
Hmm.
Jeremy and myself and others, and probably yourself to some degree.
mhm,
When we talk about how we want to see the lives of children impacted, we
Hmm.
understand that the first issue of impact for every child is their parents
Hmm.
right.
and the importance of what it is that we pour into the children to prepare them for the life that is to come. Can we
Hmm.
protect them from everything? Absolutely not. And we'd be a fool to even think we can. But we
No,
can
part
set
of the
the
development
foundation.
is to not to. Yes,
Yes,
go ahead.
but we can set the foundation and
Hmm.
build the pillars that give them the borders that
Hmm.
when they stray at some point in time in life, because life is going to test them, the world is
Hmm.
going to try them. We
Hmm.
pray and believe that what we have established and that's lining up with the Father has given us to give them will be strong enough that they will shift to the right, shift to the left, but come back in, just like the prodigal son did. He had everything. Father raised him, loved him. He still chose on his own accord to say, let me go out there and see what's out there. But in the midst of all his despair, in the midst of all his foolishness, in the midst of everything he was doing that was detrimental to who he really was, one day he pulled his face out of the pig slop.
Hmm.
And you can think about it. If he was in there with the pigs, what do pigs represent? What do pigs eat? They
Mhm,
eat the death of life. They associate with death, but they eat dead things.
Hmm.
See what I'm saying? So he was eating death. And then all of a sudden, something triggered inside of him that said, this is not where you're supposed to be. What was it? It was that foundation that had been put in him since he was the day he was born that made him look up and go, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to be here. And it led him back to where he was supposed to come back to. And on
amen.
the road, who met him? His
Yes.
father with open arms and a smile, not looking at him, pointing his finger, going, see, boy, I told you, no, with open arms,
Hmm.
because he needed him to feel love.
Yes.
That
Yeah,
in
but
spite of everything, love
right,
was it. And
right.
that's what the Father does with us. And we,
Yes.
as representatives of Him, are supposed to do with our
Yeah,
children. We
now,
have to put love in them before
Yes.
anything else, because that is the foundation that is going
Mhm.
to allow them to succeed.
Well,
but
go ahead.
and I agree with a couple of things.
Yes.
It, it's good that you did that, and
Yes.
people always talk about the prodigal son, but if I ever had to speak, I would try to speak on the other son,
Yeah.
the one
Yeah,
that. But the reason why I brought that up, even him,
Hmm.
see, even him, the thing is temptation.
Hmm.
See, a young person not knowing can be easily tempted.
oh,
Hmm.
absolutely.
At this age, I'm tempted.
Hmm.
Always.
I get it's gonna be that way till I take my last breath.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah, but my thing is what I have, the knowledge that I have is not that I can't be tempted.
Hmm.
It's not that I can't be tempted,
Hmm.
but I have much more to work with when a person that doesn't.
Come on now. Come on now.
Amen.
Real
That's
talk. Real talk. Yes,
I,
sir.
I can look at the devil. I can look at the. I told you what my godmother told me to tell the
Hmm.
devil. Go back to hell where you belong. Leave me alone. See, I can tell the devil that. I can say that easily and
Hmm.
mean it. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how you have to deal with the devil.
Hmm.
You know out in the streets when you meet a person that really thinks they're bad, well when you cower down, that emboldens them.
Yes, it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
But
That's
when
why they're called a bully.
yeah, so
Yeah.
but when you stand up to them and say, man, you got to work for this.
Hmm.
you, you got
It's
You
not
gotta,
worth the price of admission. It's
yeah,
not worth the price of admission.
yeah, yeah. You see what I'm saying?
How they say now, this ain't what you want.
Yeah, so that, but see, that's that cunning part. See, but see, you said it in your prayer, and I read that last night about they thought they were ignorant people, they were not educated people.
Yes.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
I don't care what you think when you see me.
Yeah.
See, I don't care about that part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
so that
it doesn't matter to you because you know who you are. See, you
there you
don't live in
go.
a life of self sabotage anymore.
Yeah.
There you go. There you
See
go.
that you hear what I just said? You don't live in a life of self sabotage anymore.
There you go. There you
Right.
go.
You have elevated out of that, so
Man,
you don't even have to. You don't. I don't need to wear no shiny medals for you to recognize me.
Ron, you said about 3 weeks ago when you come into the knowledge of understanding and knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
then the light bulb comes on.
Come
Exactly.
on now,
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
why they call it enlightenment.
Exactly. Exactly. And it can't be just about ourselves. You
No.
No.
see, there has to be an exchange and a transfer.
Yes,
So
yes,
Right.
yes,
when we train up the next generation in the way that they should go, you're transferring confidence and competence
yes. You
so
are.
that they can move forward. You
Yes, you
see,
are.
you're not going to be able to protect them from everything. So they have to have some level of sufficiency in grace and in God for
Yes, yes.
themselves, right?
That will carry
So
them through.
that will carry them through. So boldness is transferable if
Hmm.
if you encourage. You see, boldness requires courage.
Yes, it does.
Boldness requires courage to move forward in confidence and competence. It requires courage, right? The courage to plan, the courage to execute, the
Mhm.
courage to be ready. All these things require courage because it goes against that immaturity where all you want is fun, 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 right? Um, but when you train up someone else, right, in confidence,
Yes, yes,
right, and it's a unique thing. You don't compare people to. That's one of the mistakes that's made in the current systems of even education is that
yes, yes,
people are not being blessed in their uniqueness. They're creating drones and clones,
yes, yes.
right? They're creating drones and clones where everybody's supposed to be just alike. We're not
Hmm.
just alike, right?
Uh-huh. And
That's
that's
why
by design.
yes, we're not supposed to be just alike,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Amen.
We're not supposed to be just alike.
Hmm.
Uh,
That's
uh,
right.
um, and things that buck against this cause us eventual frustration where we wonder if we fit in. You're not supposed to fit in.
No, you're
You're
not.
not designed
You're
to fit
supposed
in.
to stand out.
You're supposed to stand. That's what boldness means. You're
Right.
supposed to
Right.
stand out,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But
right?
it can only happen when you have confidence. And that
Yes.
confidence comes from once you have an understanding of, again, who
Right.
you are, what
Right.
you are,
Right.
why you are,
Why you are?
why you are. See, we
Yeah.
should all be asking that number one question. What is my reason why I was birthed? If I got 10 people sitting on a panel and I ask each of them that question, I can guarantee you, maybe,
Mhm.
and I'm stretching to say it, and I'm bold enough to say it, and I guarantee it could be confirmed. Maybe one person on that panel might be able to tell me or have some conception of what that means.
Well,
Nine times out of 10, most of them are not going to be able to tell you because
but
they've never asked that question, or if they did, they never waited to get the answer.
Mhm.
see, I got to put this in there. If see, their response may be worldly, or their response may be spiritually.
Yes.
See, that's the difference. So, if there is no wrong answer from a spiritual perspective. See, there really isn't. Yeah, but see that's where the mix-up comes because I could answer that question in a way that my number one purpose in life is to glorify God. I got a charge to keep, a God to
Mhm.
Mhm.
glorify.
Right.
But what else did he create you for? Not putting
It's,
you on the spot.
No,
yeah.
no, no,
We
no.
already know everything
As,
you do is you
as,
understand is to
as,
glorify him. But what was Sherlock Bruce
as,
put into the earth to do?
as a servant,
Yeah.
Okay.
as a
In
servant.
what
But what about the
capacity?
villain? But what about the villain? What about the villain? What about who thinks that their purpose is to destroy?
Mm-hmm.
Their purpose is to take. Their purpose is to kill. Their purpose is to steal. Their purpose is to rape.
But I said,
See,
but
that's a spiritual thing too. That's a
okay.
spiritual thing too.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
what I'm
but
trying to say. That's a
okay, yeah,
spiritual thing too.
you are absolutely right. But I'm saying,
Which spirit?
yeah, but I'm saying the spirit of Him, the Creator.
Oh, okay. That's clear.
Ah,
That's
now,
clarity.
now,
That's clear.
which is where we thought we knew you were going
We're
there.
going there.
We already knew you was going there. But here's the catch with to my point. What did he say to you in Psalms 139? He said, "You are wonderfully
Fearfully.
and fearfully made."
Yes.
Come on now. What did he say in Jeremiah 29:11?
I know
Well,
the
then
thoughts I
again,
think
then,
of.
then, then, then again, then again, see, then again, he said, "You don't know the plans I have for
For you.
your
And
life."
you know why he said that? Not to say, "Oh, I am the great God and
Oh yeah,
I'm
yeah,
the know of all things." That's not what he was saying in
yeah.
scripture. He was saying you don't know the plans because they're so great and so awesome. Once you start coming into the knowledge as I lead you, you are going to be overwhelmed to go, "Oh my God, he loved me this much to do this much in me and through me and for me." That just elevates and
But
escalates our love for him even more.
but see, you still went back to what I was saying, knowledge and
Of course.
understanding. Yeah.
Yeah, of
So
course.
see, but then again, I really got to go. But the
Yeah.
point I'm trying to get at, the point I'm trying to get at is that word we call evolving, because it's
Yes,
Developing.
developing. It's
yeah,
a
Developing. Yeah,
process.
right,
developing.
right,
It's
right,
a
right.
process. That's why
Being
I said those.
sanctified.
Yeah,
Huh?
that's why I said those.
Being sanctified.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Being
That's why I
made
said those
holy.
10 people on the panel. How many of them would have given the answers we just gave?
Hey,
I
hey,
guarantee you.
I just wanted to show you something. See, I listened to MSNBC and I was listening to Joey Reid last night, and
Mm-hmm.
these are the three students, one white, two black, that's going to sue. Uh, and I would, because of the AP class, I wish you could. Now they're not. Some of them are. The one girl was in the ninth grade or 10th grade, but I just wish you could hear how they express themselves.
Okay. Now let me ask you a question. What on the Joy Reid show, what were they talking about suing about?
No, no, because they're talking about the governor not basically telling them that they can't take this course. It's
Okay.
restricting their learning.
Now
That's
let me throw something in there. I know we got to get off. Let me
Yeah.
show you how that constructive propaganda works. They brought children on there who are very wise, but they have an agenda. The news, mainstream news, doesn't do anything without an agenda. They are serving somebody. Trust me, all the time. They are
Yep.
pushing a agenda in this course that is now being projected about Black history. There are certain parts in there that say certain things. They specifically and methodically make sure they are not going to talk about point by point. Why? Because it's going to bring exposure to who is really going to benefit from this course. Because in there are some things, and I'm not going to say it on here, but there are some things, unless you want me to.
They're acronyms that don't spell anything.
Exactly. That's I like the way you put that. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And those things have absolutely
oh yeah,
nothing
yeah,
to
yeah,
do
yeah, yeah.
with Black history.
Right,
So
right.
why are they even in there? And that's the
Well,
problem
A
that
little
people like
leaven.
ourselves
well,
are arguing about that. Why did this have to go in there? What does
A
that got
little
to do with
leaven
our history?
to spoil the lump.
To
yeah,
A
sport,
little leaven
little
to
Levin,
spoil the lump.
and
but
everything that
I think
now let
I,
me say this, and I know you need to say something.
uh,
Joy Reid, this is a sister. Why would she allow herself to be used that way? Because she is part of the very same system that we are arguing about, that is what we call boule, that have an
Gatekeepers,
agenda,
gatekeepers, gatekeepers.
gatekeepers who are going to make sure that those in control continue to get their agenda pushed across. And they use these young children, giving a facade that, oh, we're concerned about the babies. We're concerned about the young people. No, you're not. This is to further your agenda to forcibly convince people that we're going to shove this down your throat, whether you like it or not. But at the same time, you're leaning towards one necessity of people, but you're neglecting others. And you've been doing this same thing. It's the same old plan, the same old plot, just a different person playing it and a different music beat to it. But it's the same thing. And until people are bold enough to stand up, and some are and are speaking and say what really needs to be said and not be afraid of what's going to come back again to the word we love to use. We're for the truth, whether it's for us or
Or
against
against
us.
us.
But you know what? You touched on something when you were saying those acronyms. I'm trying to leave it alone.
We-
It's better that but you said something
What they do with 8 ounce gloves on, baby?
a little leaven or a little yeast. I guess that's what you put.
same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. That's
But
it.
my point is, I'm gonna leave it alone because I heard what he was saying, but when you really look at the civil rights movement, there was a gentleman in there. I didn't realize this.
Well, we know who it was.
Yeah,
He
okay,
was he was
okay.
Dr. King's right hand man. But guess
Yeah.
what happened?
So,
The whole civil
but let me get this across.
okay.
I'm not condoning it, and you cut that person out or whatever. Then you know that's why I say it's a slippery slope because we're then that's the thing of inclusion. You see. I mean, I'm just saying if you whatever role he played in civil rights.
Well,
And you take that person out, would it have been? We can't say. I can't say.
let me be bold enough
Okay.
to say this. I'm gonna let you see the boldness that's in me. As they
Okay.
say, I ain't scared.
Ain't
Okay.
scared.
You can't do nothing to me.
Yeah.
I don't have no public position. You ain't got no sponsors paying me thousands of dollars to do the puppet role.
Yep.
I'm just a normal person, so I get the
Mhm.
right to say what I want to say.
Yep.
Now, people can agree or not agree, and this is no pun to you, brother. I'm just making a
I know
when
that.
we say civil rights, let's not play, not you, let's not play the word game,
Yeah,
okay?
right,
We
right,
know what civil rights is. We know the difference between civil rights and laws of moral values and
right,
morality. We
right.
understand that. But when you try to mix them in the same bowl and try to come out with an ingredient that only looks one way, you're going to get confusion. And that's what you got. Now, to that point about
Intention.
that young man almost underdid the whole civil rights movement because Adam Clayton Powell, the congressman from New York,
Mhm.
went to Dr. King in confidence and told him, I know who that is and I know what he's doing. And
Mhm.
if you don't remove him, I'm going to put it out there in the press. That would have undermined and undone the whole civil rights movement. Later on, that same individual, 40 years later, sitting on the stage, all gray hair, admitted what he was in there to do. He said, my whole objective the whole time was to get us where we are today with this community. And I
Mhm.
used civil rights to open the door.
Of course. Of course. Of
Well,
course.
well.
Uh, uh,
Now,
uh,
I
it,
gotta
it,
go. I gotta go. But I'm not. I want to put this. It's. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it
wait.
because
Wait. This is a plain question. This is a plain question. And you could, I'm just leave it. Can, can abomination be righteous?
In any shape or form.
I hear what you're saying. No,
Okay. All right. That's all I have to say.
no, but see. This is the other thing. and this is where they that commercial that what we said the other day. See,
Mhm.
God loves those people too. He don't like what
Yes,
Yes, he
he loves
does.
it.
Yes, he
Yes,
does.
okay.
he
But
does. He
he
does.
loves them.
So
He
do
loves
we.
the pimp. He loves the prostitute. He
So
loves
do
the
we.
murderer. He
Right.
loves everybody. But
He,
again,
But
if you are willingly making the choice
hmm
to
right.
walk on this side of the street, then what comes with you making that choice
hmm
belongs to you. Yes, I'm
Because
gonna love you. I'm gonna love you enough into that and to get you, and I'm gonna keep throwing opportunities at you
yeah,
to walk out of that walk and
yeah.
come over into the righteousness. But if you don't,
that's on you though.
No, no. That's
That's
why I
on
brought
you.
up. That's why I
yeah,
brought
that's
up.
on you.
That's why I brought up.
Listen,
That's why
the
I brought
only
up.
the
That's
only
why.
kind of people guess what? The only kind of people you can love, sinners.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Every
And
single person you
yeah.
love is a sinner.
But
yeah,
That's the
that's
only
why
kind of people you can love.
that's why I brought up that commercial. God loves the people you
Yeah,
hate.
yeah.
So we
Love,
understand.
really
And
love
guess
them.
what?
Well,
Guess
so
what?
we understand. So we don't hate somebody because of what they believe, but we understand the spiritual connotation behind it
Yeah,
that
I
is
listen.
not talked about
Listen.
because it doesn't fit the agenda. Because if
yeah.
you go there, you will take underneath
Listen to
every
me.
foundation that they have stood on to project with their project. And here's the problem: if you want to stay over there on your side of the street and do your thing, I ain't bothering you. Do your thing, if that's the way you want to go. But when you trying to shove it down my throat,
hmm
when you trying to hit me upside the back of my head like a thief coming out the night with a baseball bat out the alleyway, and I'm supposed to get up and rub that knot on my head and go, "It's okay, brother. I understand." No, sir, we ain't doing that. Nah, we're not doing that. Nah.
Now, I'm gonna tell y'all guys something. Y'all the first two I haven't told, and I will not tell anybody. But I love y'all guys, and I hope y'all love me. And I'm getting ready to go rob a bank.
Okay. I just need to know how fast can you send that portion by overnight? How much you gonna break a brother off?
See, that's my sense of humor. It's impromptu. That's pretty good, wasn't it, Ron?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love it. I love
timing
it.
was
I
great.
love it. Right on point,
Timing was
brother.
great.
All right, look, I'm gonna see y'all tonight.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, love
Yes, sir.
y'all. See y'all
All right,
tonight. We're gonna have a great Bible study tonight.
Absolutely.
okay,
It's gonna be off
Absolutely.
the chain.
okay. Shalom.
All right. Shalom,
Shalom,
brothers.
shalom. Yes, yes. So we want y'all to walk and move forward in confidence and competence, and that's based in the truth.
Yes.
And it may not be what you feel. That's why you have to be for the truth, whether it's for you or against you. That's the only way you grow.
That's
The
right.
only way you grow into the full understanding of why you were placed here is when you have a vibrant
Yes.
relationship with
Yes.
the truth, not
Yes.
your truth. Your truth is your opinion and your
That's right.
perspective, which is limited. The words in Isaiah 55 says his thoughts are higher than our thoughts and his ways are higher than our ways, higher than the heavens are to the earth. So
Come
we
on
have
now.
to understand that our limitations. Part of knowing yourself is knowing your limitations. Where you
Mm-hmm.
end and where he begins, right? So with that said, move forward with confidence and competence. We love
Yes.
you. We thank you. We thank you for listening and shalom.